Even if we tried to control James and tried to control Luis Diaz and the other men that were generating opportunities, we wanted to pressure them so that they weren't going to play freely, but we couldn't hold the balls for us to keep it and in such a way make them back down. So we had a game plan and in which we lost the ball rapidly. Then when we recovered it, that happened again. Then we were forced to back down, and that was conspiring against our opportunities. It is a pity because James generated opportunities in a pause, in a halt, and it was a ball that we lost on our build-up play. But that made us pay for our mistakes. Our goalkeeper saved that in that occasion, but we couldn't commit more mistakes. And when we were going to pressure up after the build-up play, there were long balls. There were long balls that reached behind our defensor's back. So we always had to have another man or outnumber them. So unfortunately, the long ball came after the resolution of a play that ended in the penalty kick. Even though Colombia was handling the position or holding firmly, they weren't hammering us. So that placed us in a different place, a place of need, a place of tranquility for one and for the other. So if I told them in the halftime, if you want to reduce the deficit and tie the match, you have to play. If not, it would be impossible. How are we going to make them back down if we're not playing the ball? If we play long balls, we won't be winning in that type of opportunity or play. So we wanted to go through the left to see if we found through Joel the halt. I asked Zamora to team up with Joel so that we could create more opportunities. And then in another set piece, where Colombia had already won that situation twice in the first half, after two faults after a set piece, they converted the second goal. And then it was uphill for us. I think that our mistakes had great impact, and the lack of capacity to keep the ball, to create situations, to set the tone.
Buenas noches, Carlos Serrano de Repretel, Costa Rica.
Carlos Serrano de Repetel, Costa Rica. Gustavo, how can you justify Manfred Rugal's performance? In 2 games, 2 yellow cards were shown to him, and now he will be suspended in the next match, or he will be missing the next match. What is your take on that? And what can the national team lose from that? Well, there was a particular context for those yellow cards, and those we think that to us, the yellow cards were shown in situations, in the same situations in which they weren't shown to Colombia. And yes, he was a fraction of a second late going to that ball. But it wasn't a yellow card for protesting, for misbehaving on the pitch, or a lack of discipline. We wanted to create pressure, and sometimes you get a second late, and it is a foul in the attack, and it's not transcendent. But in this type of match, or in this type of tournament, well, there is a lot of friction, a lot of physicality. There's a battle waged for every ball, and sometimes you also have a different officiating. Some referees allow for more or less. Some fouls, I think, could have received a yellow card and they didn't. And then Amancio, well, he got caution in both matches, and we're not going to condemn him for that. I would say something if it had been because of lack of discipline on the pitch, but it was while waging that battle. So you always think that maybe if you win that ball and that challenge, you can then convert it into a goal. And I think it's not fair to scold him for that yellow card. André Fernandez for Teletica Radio. Even if good things were said in our defense against Brazil, many other things were said on the lack of the offense. And now, how much does it concern you? Do you think there's a need to work hard on the offense to create a better attack? Today, you also made a replacement in the midfield. Why? You don't have Jefferson, you put Aguilera. How satisfied were you with Brandon's performance and of some other players today on the pitch? Let's see. It's a weakness of ours. Maybe not a weakness, a deficit. I really want them to take the risk and play. We created passes along the line, a third man work, pivoting constantly, play into one or more touches, and as Colombia did, in a simple and straightforward manner, rotating, generating spaces, giving them time to have the fullbacks join them in the attack. But of course, we're still missing some elements. But I saw our team a bit static in that regard. And you may have a stopper on the left or a center back on the left, a fifth man on the line. If you don't move while the ball is moving, and if you don't show yourself, they won't find you. The pressure gets there, and when you receive the pressure, if you don't have options because you have not found the pass line to make the field longer or larger, you're not creating spaces, then you end up with a long dividing ball or playing back with the goalkeeper. So that doesn't lead to an offensive play towards center forward, and we will be trying to find the long ball or a second ball. And I don't think we have the right physical condition for that. And the problem does not only lie in the offensive, it is also in the generation of the play that happens from the midfield backwards. And I think it depends on how we build up play from the back line and from the midfield or the halfway line. We've done that in the qualifiers. We don't want to have three midfielders. We want to have one more winger to have an alternative. I wanted to have another player to take care of the attack of Colombia and have, but we needed to have a clear ball in the midfield, and we are having a hard time to find that. I see Galo is playing at a great level with a very strong physical condition, dynamically, but still we need to clear it out clean with the other midfielder, the one that touches the ball back, the one that's switching sides or touching the ball to a forward. We need that creative player, the one that starts building up play, because if you start in a different way, then you will have to see how you can start to attack in the attacking half. So I think that our weakness lies in the generation of opportunities and the creation that is hindering the offense of our team. Am I clear? Anthony Porra for Costa Rica, Radio Colombia. Now that you were talking about creating or developing plays and opportunities, Brandon Aguilera, it seems as if he's having a hard time, or Zamora, he should be more decisive. So in this renovation process, how do you assess their performance in the case of the young players, and uh, um, how do they decide who takes the set piece? Well, I think this is part of the process. So, in all due respect, playing the qualifiers that we played is not as demanding as the matches that we are playing in Copa America and that we will play in Copa America. I'm here for answers. I'm trying to find the answers. We are finding some of them are still elusive, and those we need to still go after them. And, well, living under pressure and owning our responsibilities is part of it. It's part of the process. Playing this type of matches creates similar situations all the time, and this is not something that depends on the age. It has to do with being level-minded, mature, having the right character and their personality of the players beyond their age. So our idea is to have them surrounded by experienced players, but they do have to undergo this process because they have to learn. We have to learn from our match against Colombia. There's a reason why they have the standing they have, and they have a 25 unbeaten streak, and they have won in Germany, against Spain and Spain. They have won against Brazil, the USA, and this is because of the right reasons, and this has to do with the right handling of the elements, and we have to acquire those capacities, and we won't do it overnight. Sometimes the generational renovation ends up in a defeat, and the frustration, pain, sadness, but it's part of the process we have to undergo. And, well, the set pieces, we didn't do well in that aspect today, but we have a good performance usually. We have last seated, if Brandon is there, Brandon, if it's Brenes, Brenes, and if Joel is there, Joel will take them. Or Alejandro Brannan, if Alejandro is on the pitch. Marcos López, Radio Di Blue, Ecuador. It is tough to speak on behalf of entire people, but I think most really appreciate you, and I think the Costa Rican people are really happy to have you as a coach. Now that you played against two opponents that were superior in their individual talent, how are you going to prepare an offensive game plan to go against Paraguay on July the 2nd? Well, first, I want to say that I take to heart your words because I love Ecuador, its people. I received many messages from the players since I took over my tenure in Costa Rica, and the relation I've had with all those players is wonderful. Honestly, I will never forget that. It was a very happy time in my life. And regarding your question, even though Paraguay has great players in the attacking half, regardless of that and the respect that we might have for Brazil, Colombia, or every other opponent, we have to grow, and we can have any type of game plan. We have to understand the strategy, and if for any reasons today we lacked mobility, precision, teaming up, or showing ourselves as an option, well, that is not the way to continue on this improvement path. But regardless of the next opponent, I think that the most important thing is for us to read the elements that are missing and trying to go after them. The opponent is in a second place to us. If I don't measure up to the circumstances, everything will be difficult. And you've seen this in the case of the match against Ecuador. When we went against Argentina in the field of Boca, we said, we're going to do this and we're going to play everyone in the same way, even when we played against Senegal in the World Cup. And I want to do that in Costa Rica, and it is a process that we need to understand because the defeats are tough. But if this defeat happened in a qualifier when you are, or the stakes are really high and then you might be out of the World Cup, it is a defeat that generates a lot of issues. But no one likes losing, no one. And even less in these circumstances or 3-0. But it is a learning opportunity. We need to learn how things should be done because they were done great by others. So we need to incorporate them to close or narrow the gap. That is the challenge we have ahead of ourselves. Unfortunately, the gap exists. It did not start last week. It has been there for a long time. And it is tough for CONCACAF teams. It has been hard for them. Why? Well, for whatever reason, CONMEBOL has a different level, it's more competitive, and well, we need to level up and reach that level. So if we don't face this learning or this type of we don't have this bitter taste now in our mouths, well, we won't learn. And we knew these were the risks, and hopefully we can capitalize on it soon, and hopefully that would allow us to have a great game plan against Paraguay, but not only for Paraguay, to have our baseline for the future. Thank you, everyone. Good evening.